think we did it this time. Yay! We're back. I get so excited every single time. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday night and it's getting dark already. So how's everybody in Your Backup Plan tribe today? Yeah, it's finally here. We're going to talk about our great podcast this week, which was on long-term care. And my name is Tina Alexa, and I'm an emergency preparedness coach, a best-selling author, a financial expert, and an app developer of Your Backup Plan app. And I'm from Vancouver, BC. So send out a comment down below on Instagram and Facebook if you guys are from anywhere else. I'd love to hear from you and find out where you're listening from. Now, our podcast is on every Tuesday, and it's on 7 platforms, not 5, but 7. And you'll find it on Spotify and iTunes and 5 others. So you can find it all on there. I talked to Karen Tyrell this week, and she is a dementia educator and consultant. And I absolutely loved it. And we're going to be doing a lot more interviews around long-term care because I think it's a very passionate topic for everyone. And I would really like to delve more deeply into that topic because it pretty much hits all of our families at some point in time, whether you're looking at parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles, someone who's been tragically injured in an accident. And that's where it hits the family hard. So that's our topic this week. And you can expect more and more product reviews, workshops, and tutorials. I provide tips and tricks and interviews on my channel with real life people and their real life stories. So if you are new here, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button down there and tap the bell. It's also down there, somewhere there. And so you don't miss out on any of our live videos and our uploads. One thing that we can all count on is that we are all going to die. Now, it can seem like a really heavy topic, and no one in their right mind wants to even think about it. They don't want to talk about it, and they definitely don't want to talk about with others. But hey, surprise, surprise, that's what we do here at Your Backup Plan. We clarify all of these different categories that we sometimes lose in our day-to-day career, job, weekend, family. It gets ahead of us. And you know, that's what life does. And sometimes it's too late to do something. So I'm here to help you get better prepared. And that's what we do at Your Backup Plan. So we don't want to leave your life in an order where it impacts your loved ones to the degree where they don't know what to do. They don't know what you want. They didn't know what you wanted. They didn't know where anything was, and you left everything in a mess. But you thought it was okay. And that's the funny part, right? So Your Backup Plan app is super important in getting your life organized and in a much better way because you could be alive and have to need the program. You may need it because you lost your passport or that you just need a copy of it and you can go onto the app and get it. You might need to know that you have your will done, and that's going to be put down in your app so that you know where it is and that your guest user also knows. So that's just a little bit about getting better prepared quickly. And I just want to have a quote of some sort every week. And this really kind of hit me because I think it goes hand in hand with long-term care, because it's about the ones that you love. It's about the ones that you may leave behind, or the ones that you are thinking about that you've all of a sudden got put into the place of having to look after them, and you weren't sure what their wishes were, or you weren't sure what they wanted. But I've got some solutions for you for that. So Kathy Lee Gifford just came out with a new movie called Then Came You. And they wrote a song called Once Again, and this is a little snippet from it. And I thought it was really good for this week's topic, and I hope you enjoy it too. So you don't find love. Love finds you. In the midst of a moment, right out of the blue, it sneaks up on your heart, hardly making a sound. Then all of a sudden, you find you've been found. That's what real love is. So let's just delve into, our blog is quite lengthy this week. It talks about dementia, it talks about long-term care, and it talks about our blog and our podcast on Tuesday with our interview with Karen Tyrell at Dementia Solutions, Inc. And so our dementia, the 7 A's, I don't even think I could say them, but let's just give it a whirl, okay? Let's try it. So the 7 A's of dementia are ones that, dementia affects your brain. And it's very difficult in this time to know whether it's old age that you see some changes in your relative or loved one with, or you see some physical changes that are happening. And here's a few of them that could affect your brain for dementia. Anosognosia, which is when they do not think that there's anything wrong with them, even though you've tried to prove it, you've tried to explain it, but they still insist there's nothing wrong. Amnesia, which is they suffer memory loss. It's very short term. That's, very common in movies and things. Aphasia, which is the individual experiences loss of language skills. They're unable to speak, perhaps, or difficulty speaking or understanding or reading or writing. Agnosia also is unable to recognize sights, sounds, senses, tastes. Apraxia is when their difficulty with movement and coordination. Altered perceptions, where they suffer loss of depth perception. Apathy, the individual is unable to speak or lacks interest in a beginning of activities or in a conversation. That's sometimes what you'll see if you go to long-term care homes or senior homes, or wherever you're watching this from. I'm not sure what they call them. There's nursing homes, there's all sorts of names for them. But apathy, I think, is one of the biggest ones where you find when you go to visit in the senior's home, you'll find people sitting there and they don't involve in a conversation. They sit very quietly. There's so many different degrees and stages that each one is at. So it's very hard to figure out what's happening. I think it's probably easier if you go away from the person for a while and come back, because I think a lot of times when we're in it 24/7 as a caregiver perhaps, or someone that's living with them, it's hard to see the changes, the subtle changes that, get bigger and bigger and bigger eventually. So what causes dementia? I'm not really sure. This is a big topic because we're not really sure what causes that. But, on BCTV tonight, we have a great topic on dementia. And Deb Hope, which is one of the biggest BCTV journalists, it talks about that on our BCTV network this week, actually tonight. So if anybody wants to grab that, it's on today's show. They do talk about her journey with having dementia, and I'm looking forward to watching that. So this is also a worldwide issue in every country, and it's not surprisingly, different. The only thing different about it is where people have to live and care, and what the choices are in that specific area. So we asked Karen for her biggest takeaways from our podcast this week. What would you say for those? And I think we started with 3 and we ended up with 5. I'm not sure how that happened, but we have so much more to talk about on this topic. But I didn't want to go too long on today's and this week's. But we talked about getting your legal documents prepared. And that's, okay, guys, who doesn't have their will done? Tell me. Okay? We need to get your will done. We need to get your parents' will done. We need to get your family's will done. We need a will, and we need it registered, or we need to link it to somewhere where people know where it is. But that's not the only thing we need done. We need a power of attorney. That's super, super important when we're going to get sick. And we need someone to either speak for us on our behalf, or change an account, or act as us while we're not, capable. It could be a short-term type of illness. It could be a longer-term illness, but we need to get a power of attorney done. That's super, super important when you're living, not when you're dead. Your will is for when you die. Okay, so the next one is also very, very important, and it's called something different in every place where you live. So please look it up to your location. If you're in Europe or if you're in England right now, it perhaps might be called something else. If you're in Australia or the UK or United States, I'm going to give you a few of the terms that I've heard people use, and perhaps you could also help me if you want to put comments down below. In your area that you are living in, what is this document called? So here we call it a representation agreement, or a healthcare agreement, or an incapacity agreement, or an enhanced healthcare agreement, or a living will. So those are all kind of common documents that are very, 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 very important also. So we're going to do this quick review. The quick review is a will for when you die, a power of attorney when you're living but you're unable to look after your own personal business, and a living will or a representation agreement or a healthcare agreement, one of those that it's called. And that's for what kind of healthcare, what kind of medical do you want when something happens to you? And that could be as much, you see it in movies a lot, where the family's all around the person that's on life support, and they're all arguing about, no, she wanted the machine to be off. No, she wanted the machine to stay on. She wanted to live. No, she didn't want to put anyone through this pain. So it's a battle, and it's very nice when you have this document done, because the family, as well as the medical team that is looking after your loved one, has a better idea and understanding of what it is that you want. So these are a few of the things. Those are the 3 documents that I all want you to get going on. And we will be having a workshop in our membership group where you can log in and get some help in understanding what you want in a will. What are a few of the options? Why have a will? Why not? Why do you need one? Power of attorney as well. So we delve deeper in the workshops where you have a worksheet and you can work through it, make decisions, and then it saves going to a lawyer or a notary in your area. It doesn't eliminate the need, but it will provide you a few of the answers to the questions that they will be asking you. So it saves a lot of time by being prepared. A few of the signs that you may come across with your loved one, or if you're a caregiver, and these are a few of the signs to watch for, that they're unable to keep up with their hygiene. They, think that they took a shower or a bath and they didn't. They're not brushing their teeth. These are a little bit difficult to see if you're not there on a consistent basis. Difficulty dressing. They might put on the same clothes every day, or they might not know how to put on their shirt or pants anymore, or their socks. It's not so much they're incapable of dressing, it's that their brain doesn't allow them to understand how to get dressed. Behavior changes. It's very common with the younger dementia patients. I have found that when they're younger in age and they somehow have dementia come into their life, they sometimes go with a dementia that is behavioral, not them. They argue and they fight and they hit you and they punch you and they argue, and it's very frustrating, and I really don't like anyone to have to go through that. It's not nice at all. The other big topic that we talked about were different care facilities. So in your area, there'll be, wherever you are listening from, there will be a government-assisted care facility and then a private care facility. And in Canada, we have both of those. Some people are unaware of the private. They are very expensive, but they're very much like a resort where they have activities, and they even have little buses that can take a group of people out to a shopping mall for the day, or they have little dancing or card games, or it's very much like a resort where there's different activities to keep you going, and not just going and sitting in a corner, eating and then going and sitting and going to sleep in the corner on the couch. So those are absolutely some solutions for you to look at. And it's also a very good idea to look at perhaps pick 3 different locations, so that you can write that down in your worksheet that you will be downloading from our workbook, where you can then fill that out so that your family knows where you would prefer to go. The third one, if it's not private or government run, is your home. So this could mean that you're going to stay at your home and have caregivers come in, or it could mean that you are going to live with another relative, or it could mean that you're going to share it with other people. So there might be 2 or 3 of you, and then the caregivers look after the group. So those are all kind of decisions to make. I've always thought of what I would want personally, and I always thought I'd rather be in my own little place as long as I had a little patio where I could go outside and I'd feel very comfortable and know where everything was. So you just have to give it some thought of your choices. And of course, the costs. The costs are very, very interesting, because in our workbook that we provide in our membership, it goes through the different steps of what assets you have and what income stream you have, as well as investments. So then you could better look at, or you could have a financial planner prepare a financial plan for retirement and what that would look like, so that you have a better idea of what kind of money that you would have available and for how long if you had to go into a care facility. Now, there was long-term care insurance that would also provide you with that ability to get the care in a private, perhaps a private facility or at home. So that's also an option. Now, we did talk about therapeutic reasoning, and that's what Karen is very diverse in and very knowledgeable. And if anybody's having any difficulty with a loved one at the moment and is having a hard time knowing how to communicate with them, for example, if your loved one is saying, well, where's mom? But you don't know how to tell him that mom has passed away. She uses an example of therapeutic reasoning, where you can just say, where do you think mom is? And then he may say, well, I think she went shopping. And you can say, yeah, I'm sure she'll be back, very, very soon. So it's not, we talked about that. It's not lying. It's just making sure that everyone's staying in harmony, peace, calmness, and you're not bringing in any extra burdens to that type of person who is unable to understand it for any length of time, because they may understand it for a few minutes and then it's gone again. So we don't want to get into too many issues around that, but Karen's a very good coach to talk to about if anybody is having any issues with talking to their loved ones right now with dementia. So I wanted to talk about, in our workbook that we provide, we really talk about deciding on your care facility. As we talked about, there's 3 choices: government run, private, or at home. And we go through if you have insurance to cover the care, if you have family members to cover the care. Sometimes family relatives will buy long-term care insurance, and then that will be there for your loved one to use when it's needed. There's pensions, there's income stream, there's your assets, and in some countries, you're unable to use the government-run care facility if you have too much in assets. So you need to do a better research in the country that you're in. And what I would really, really, really love to do is to have an interview with someone that's in England, somebody that's in Australia, someone in the States, so that we could have a better understanding of what's in different countries. I think that would really be kind of cool to see that as well. So there's pensions, assets, income, insurance, and family that could help fund the long-term care for you. There's a worksheet for funding care, looking at what if you chose a private care facility and it costs $6,000 a month? How are you going to work out with your income stream or your parents' income stream and their assets? How could you make that work? And that's in your worksheet as well. So some of the things we go into in the workbook, it goes into much more than just the care facility, but what would you like the place that you're going to live in, or what would your parents like? And you could have a family conversation around this to find out, well, Mom, if you didn't get very well, what would you like that picture to look like? Where would you like to live? Would you like to stay in your condominium? Would you like to move in with us? But Karen did mention about if you're going to have a loved one who needs full-time or part-time care and they're going to move in with you, just remember that the care will probably change in time. And we don't know if that's going to be quickly or if it's going to be over a period of time. But just remember that if that person that's moving in that needs care and they need it just meals perhaps and some part-time care that you could have come in to look after them, that might be really, really handy. But remember that what would the picture look like if you need full-time care, but not just care, but supervision as well. Because that's a big difference between part-time care and meals to full-time care and supervision. So just think of what that medical world journey would look like, because it might start out looking like this, and that's okay, we can handle that, and then it quickly diverts to this. So that's absolutely something to consider in your overall planning picture. Some people are unable to cook, and those are also things to consider. So we talked about Alzheimer's, we talked about dementia, we talked about possibilities of having to choose and planning. And in my blog, I talk quite a bit about trying to get information from the person who has now got dementia. So what we want to do is we have to plan our own life, our own documents, and our own issues, our will, our all of our marriage certificates and death certificates, and everything that's probably in your filing cabinet or drawers at home. We're going to organize all that in the workbook, and it's a video that you can watch. But one of the things we talk about in that is trying to decide how to ask the one that you are looking after, because not only do you have to be personally prepared with your own little family, but you also need to help out yourself in getting your parents prepared, or getting your aunt or uncle prepared, or maybe it's your best friend, or maybe you're helping out your friend. But we need to get better prepared to look at getting those 3 documents, deciding on what kind of care, and finding out where their information is. And by having your backup plan, you can have a family conversation around this and talk about it before it's too late. Because once dementia hits, once there's a problem with them communicating and thinking that they are going to die, it makes it very difficult to get any information from them, because they think that nothing is going to happen to them, and why do I have to give you this information? So it's difficult to wait until it's too late. And we have found that in numerous times to do that as well. So I'd like you to, check back with us. This month we will be having the membership available. We will have the workbooks. We will have the worksheets available in the membership, as well as, how to have a family meeting. What information do I need to get? Whether it's for yourself or whether you're going to do it and fill it out for your parent or loved one. Because let's face it, even when something doesn't happen to us individually, it's going to happen to someone in our close family, and we need them prepared too, because if they're not prepared, then it's really going to be a burden, frustration, sadness, all of those feelings of not knowing what to do, not knowing where anything is, etc. So it's really, really important to also help them get their information as well before dementia hits, and you're unable to get any of that information from them. Because you could have a power of attorney and then start looking after, say, your mom's bank account. But if you don't know where all of her bank accounts might be and you just know where the one account is, it's really not very helpful then when she does pass away to be able to close those accounts or transfer that account or do whatever is needed to be the executor, or perhaps it might be in the will. But if we don't know where our loved ones' bank accounts are, it's probably the one top thing on our list. So please, please be proactive and start looking at their wishes, what they would like, and where their information is. And if they don't want to give you any details, we do also have a video on having a family meeting and getting the information that's really needed. Even if they don't want to go into great details, it's not like you need to know how much is in their account. You just want to know it's at the, that branch out on Main Street. That's great, because then there's a bank account there, or there's two. But please be proactive. Please look at what you have personally. Please look at what your partner has, and also look outside of that box to the people that you might be having to look after at some point, because you will also need to know what their wishes are and what they have in documents and where they bank and where they have investments, etc. So that's about it, guys, for this Thursday night. I've given you lots and lots to think about. A summary, 3 documents. I wish I could have you all on Zoom right now, because I'd be asking you what those documents are. A will, a power of attorney, and a representation agreement, or a medical agreement of some sort in your area that you live in, or living wills, what they call it sometimes. So I hope I have inspired and motivated you to look at your own situation, what kind of plan that you have, what kind of plan that you'd like to get going, and how we could help you with that, and give you a unique plan for you and your family. Take a moment and share this video with those that you love and care about, because it will make a huge impact to them and to you. Our website that you can find your backup plan information on is yourbackupPlan.ca. Our weekly podcasts on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific National Time are on 7 platforms. You can find us on Instagram as well, on Your Backup Plan, on Facebook on Your Backup Plan, YouTube, of course, and LinkedIn, because family matters. Stay safe during this pandemic 2020. I hope everyone is happy, healthy, and that you have a little bit more to think about this week, because caregiving is not easy. It's very complicated usually. It's very frustrating, and it's hard to get the information out of someone that doesn't want to give it to you at that point in time when they've reached that type of sickness. So please give it some thought. And I'm going to say goodbye to my backup plan tribe tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to add it to YouTube, and I will make sure that I get back to you as soon as possible. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on the podcast, and I'd love to hear from you. Looking forward to showing you the membership program and how to get your steps going. We have step 1, step 2, and step 3 videos. Make it very easy, and you'll be able to do your own as well as perhaps a loved one as well. So I love everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for listening about the challenges around long-term care, and I hope that everyone has been able to take something from today's event and podcast this week. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.